Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. Well, today, Pussy Riot has been sentenced to 2 years in Siberia. Well, I'm assuming that's where they put their political prisoners in Russia. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in Russia, there is a punk rock group called Pussy Riot. Well, when Vladimir Putin, also known as Tsar Putin, was running for re-election during that sham of a election process that they went through, these fine young ladies decided to protest his re-election. Now, what they did is a little controversial, and I understand that as as a religious person myself, it's somewhat disturbing or upsetting. But I'll tell you, what they did was they went into a Catholic cathedral, church, whatever you want to call it, and they caused a small scene. And I only say small because they didn't destroy any property. But they did interfere with people's right to worship, and for that they should have been punished, and I believe they have been. I am not defending their method of protest. What I am defending, though, is their right to protest. Now, yes, Russia does not have a Bill of Rights. We are very blessed in the United States to have that, and I wish more people would realize that. But and Vladimir Putin, from all indications, is the extreme leader. He is czar for all intents and purposes. I mean, if you've watched Russian politics over the last decade, it's really a joke. I mean, they've got term limits in whether you're prime minister or you're president, and basically what Putin does is once he term limits out, let's say as president, then he runs for a prime minister, but in the process, he puts a puppet in, and then he shifts all the power over to the new position. So, and then when that one times out, then he does the same thing in reverse. I mean, it's really pathetic. It's sad. It's sickening is what it is. But, it is what it is. Now, what right do I have to speak out about what goes on in Russian politics? Well, none. None. But, it never stops people from all over the globe in spouting off about what they believe is screwed up about politics in the United States. So I feel like I have every right in the world to do that. So Pussy Riot is now, as far as I'm concerned, they are now political prisoners. That's exactly what they are. Should they have been punished for interfering in people's right to worship? Yes. They've been in prison for several months now, or been in jail awaiting sentencing, or I guess conviction, or where I don't know exactly how that worked out, but they've spent plenty of time, in my opinion, for that crime. And shame on them for going into a house of worship and causing a scene. But they are punk rockers after all. By the way, a little tidbit about me. I used to be a punk rocker way back in the day. Yeah, that's right. I bet you I listened to about I know for a fact I had at one point at least until I was about maybe 18 or 19. I had every record ever produced by Black Flag. I'm talking the Henry Rollins Black Flag and the pre-Henry Rollins Black Flag. And I bet you, I know that I had at least 2 of the Sex Pistols. Although I will tell you, the Sex Pistols were okay. They weren't my favorite. I liked the Black Flag a lot more than I liked the Sex Pistols. And to this day, I'll tell you, Johnny Rotten drives me crazy. He's about a retard. What he does was cool when we were all teenagers, but what he's doing now is just ridiculous. Now, I like the old punk. I'm talking about Generation X stuff. And if you've never heard of Generation X, the punk band, it was headed by Billy Idol, that went on to become famous for White Wedding and all those songs, Dancing with Myself and all that. Billy Idol used to be one hell of a punker back in the day, So yeah, I mean, I can relate and I can understand young people doing stupid things, and it is what it is. I still like a little punk music to this day, truthfully. But 2 years for speaking out against Vladimir, 2 years against speaking out against the Tsar. Are you kidding me? It's freaking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And what? I'm going to tell you something. Vladimir Putin, is literally trying to turn back the hands of time. And if you thought the former Soviet Union was tough, if you thought the former Soviet Union was dangerous to the world, you ain't seen nothing yet. You know, the nice thing for Putin is that now he doesn't have to worry about all these satellite states. He doesn't have. So that was the problem with the Soviet Union. They basically had to support all this nonsense. You know, and of course, communism doesn't work anyway on a fiscal level. But now it's a little bit different of a situation because he's taking more control of the country, and he really is more of a czar than anything else. Not really a communist situation. He's more of a czar, and he's got all this money coming in from natural gas and oil that's just flooding the coffers with cash, and he doesn't have to spend money on things like, you know, Cuba. You know, or Castro. God knows how much the Soviet Union sank down that shithole. So, well, not that Cuba's a shithole, but that whole regime, that whole Castro regime, they had nothing to offer the world. Of course, neither did the Soviet Union. So anyway, I digress. Back to sanity. Vladimir Putin needs to do the right thing, and he needs to free Pussy. He needs to free Pussy. Let Pussy out of their jail cell. I know, I'm being cute, aren't I? No, but seriously. These girls from Pussy Riot, they're just punk rockers. They were just making a punk rock statement against Vladimir Putin. And in all honesty, it's a travesty that they got 2 years in prison over this. It's absolute bullshit. And so I am absolutely calling for their release. Now, I know as soon as Vladimir gets word that Colonel Richard Hunter is calling for the release of Pussy, he will then free Pussy. But I wouldn't hold my breath. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't hold my breath. Anyway, I've actually followed this story for a while, believe it or not. I found it intriguing. I keep an eye on Russia, and I have said this for the longest time. Russia is becoming a problem on this globe. If you look at, well, for those people who think that we can just hide behind our borders and let the whole world do their thing and it'll all be one giant kumbaya and the whole world will love us, well, let me tell you something. If you're not paying attention, let me help you out with that. Very, very recently, a Russian, I almost said Soviet, same difference, a Russian nuclear attack submarine was patrolling off our coast in our waters, not in international waters, in our waters. And they patrolled there for quite a while. We didn't even know it until they left. Now, we're talking about a submarine that has the capability of taking out multiple cities. Cities the size of New York, Chicago, LA. Has the ability to take out those. Boom. One nuke will make a bad day out of anybody's situation. So, yeah, Putin's becoming a problem. We all need to start keeping an eye on him. I don't know what we do as far as I mean, I'm convinced that their elections are rigged over there. I mean, Putin literally has rigged the system. Anybody that speaks out against him immediately goes to prison. Immediately. You know, go to jail. Do not collect your $200. Boom, right to jail. And I'll tell you what, when he starts sending nuclear submarines to patrol the coast of the United States of America, it becomes all of our problem. We can pretend that it's not a problem, you know. But you know what? Let me say this too. Let me say this. If nothing else, what does that say about how much respect Russia has for the United States of America? Think about that. How much respect does Vladimir Putin have for this man? Seriously. I'm going to tell you right now, that much. Zero respect for President Obama. Zero. Think about this and I want you to answer this question in the comment section, and I want you to answer honestly. Do you think for a second that when Bush was president, and I'm talking, well, either Bush, to be honest with you, but let's just say W, okay? Do you think for a freaking New York minute that Vladimir Putin would have a nuclear attack submarine off our coast? Seriously? Now, I want you to be honest with yourself on this one. Whether you liked Bush or you didn't like Bush. Because I'm going to answer that for you. You can tell me if you disagree, but I'm going to answer that for you. It would never freaking happen. Putin may not have liked Bush, but he damn sure respected him. Now, maybe that respect was born out of fear. Maybe that respect was born out of the fact that he knew Bush wasn't going to play no bullshit with him. But he respected Bush. And he damn sure didn't have nuclear attack submarines off our freaking coast. And if anybody thinks that's not a big deal, you're a freaking idiot. Because that's a freaking huge deal. Huge deal. Nobody respects Barack Obama. Except for a handful of left-wing nut jobs who think he's still, for some strange reason, they think he's the Messiah. Apparently they've not been paying attention for the last 4 years. I don't know what, to be honest with you, it would take for me to completely look at the last 4 years and think of anything other than disaster. And the thought of the next 4 years being led by this freaking retard, by Barack Obama, seriously? Putin is sending a huge message to Obama. Basically, the message is this. You're my bitch. Your job is to shut the fuck up and stay out of my business. And by the way, that the natural resources in the Arctic belong to Russia. That's right. And don't say anything about it. Now sit down, bitch. That's exactly the way he treats our president. Now, I know some of you are thinking, yeah, you know, man, Colonel Hunter's went off the deep end with this. This is a little much. Really? What part of nuclear attack submarine patrolling off our coast did you get? Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. One more time, free pussy.